selected as an assessor. I know it's not something that many people think about of being an assessor for national weeks, but I'm glad to have you guys working for the national weeks. I know Rory's been around for a couple of them, so he more or less knows how this goes. But for yourself, Cornelia and Labib, I'm sure I think it might be the first time you guys are going to be assessors. I think also Shrek too. Um, so if you guys have any questions or something that I don't cover today, please just feel free to ask away. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen first, and I'm going to share. So this is what we call the job description um, for the assessors. Can everybody see that document I'm sharing? Sure. Okay, so this is just a job description for the assessors. It's nothing too hectic. So on the arrival day, just attend the welcome meeting on the first night. Normally, what happens is that the scorers manager normally gives you like a few minutes just to speak to the scorers, just to tell them what you're going to be looking for during the week and uh, what areas they can look to improve on uh, before you actually start the games. And then just on the arrival, they just liaise with the scorers manager with regards to the match schedules. I know these things usually change the night before, so please just make sure that you do liaise with the scorers manager and you get the updated fixtures and know which scores are going where. Okay, during the tournament, you're going to visit the grounds. Visit the grounds during games to evaluate scorers. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. That's what you're going to be doing as an assessor. Normally, what I like to do, and which I advise to do, is that I try and make sure that I assess the scorers at different parts of the game. So I assess the scorers at the start of the first innings, in the middle of the first innings, and the end of the first innings, and then as well as for the second innings of the game. But that's just over the week, over the week. So it's not like I assess them at the start of the game and the middle of the game. It's just like I try and get that all done over the course of the week. So that's maybe something you guys can look at as well. It's just so that I do it just so that I can get sort of this a sense of how they score during all those different periods. Some scorers are normally nervous at the start, and some scorers can't cope with the game when it's towards the end of the innings and the runs are normally higher and wickets fall in quick succession. So that's normally what I look at. And then during the middle of the innings, the scorers normally lose concentration there. So that's also what I try and look at when I am assessing scores. Okay, the checking and scanning of the score sheets, it's not primarily your job, but it is for the scorers manager. However, if you have the score sheets with you for too long because you're busy fixing them or finding errors or whatever it is, so it does also like fall on you to also assist with making sure that the score sheets are scanned. Um, they need to be scanned just because they need to have a backup for the tournament after the fact. So the originals go back to the scorers after they done. So once you have informed the scorer of where they need to fix or what they need to fix, you give it back to them. Okay, Shrek is here now. Okay, yeah. So Shrek, I'm just going through the job description for the assessors. We're not too far along. Okay, he's back again. Okay, we're just going through the job description for the assessors. We just at this point, which is the checking and scanning of the score sheets. The conducting of the regular one-on-one feedback meetings with scorers. I'm not sure how you would want to approach it, but with the regular one-on-ones, something that I personally don't prefer. I prefer maybe two at most during the week. However, when you are at the ground with them, that is normally when I conduct my sort of feedback with the scorers. Because sometimes it's not easy to do it because you might get the sheets late on in the evening. So it's not always possible to have those one-on-one sessions at the end of the evening or at the end of the day's play. Attending the LOC meetings during the tournament is important, just so you know where the games are going to be taking place and if there's any changes, particularly with the match format. There are sometimes, especially with the girls' weeks, where they change the match formats based on the weather or how the results are more or less shaping up during the week. So I would advise that you attend those meetings. The management meetings are normally with the team managers, where they have their own meetings and they discuss any issues that occur during the game. So I'd also advise that you attend those. Normally they back to back, the LOC meetings and then the management meeting afterwards. Obtaining the fixtures from the scorer's manager and also update the evaluation schedule. The evaluation schedule is what I was referring to earlier. I was like making sure that you do evaluate or assess all the scorers at the week. Okay, remain consistent and supportive of scorers wherever possible. That I think is pretty straightforward. You don't want scorers hating you too much during the week. Along with the scorers manager, check scorecards on online platform against summary sheets. So for these upcoming weeks, they're going to be scoring it on the CSA app. I don't know how many of you have worked with it recently or are aware of the app, but they're going to be scoring on the app for the upcoming weeks. So therefore, you do need to confirm the online scorecards with the score sheets you get from the scorer. So when there's two scorers per game, you need to check the online stuff with the summary sheet that you get from the other scorer. So if there's two scorers at a game, the scorer that is doing online needs to do a worksheet as well. So both scorers are doing a worksheet, only one scorer is doing a summary sheet. So please make sure that that is done and that is communicated with the scorers beforehand. After the tournament, you're going to compile a report or on evaluation of tournament scorers as well as performance of scorers manager. The reason why we're including the performance of the scorers manager is just because we need to get feedback on the scorers manager. Sometimes we just hear that the scorers manager was not great, but we don't have anything to base it on, or we don't have any proof of what transpired during the week. So there's no way for us to deal with that matter. Okay, so then send in the report. Normally we really like to get it before the end of the year, and we share that with the various presidents. So we do like to get that in before the end of the year. So your weeks normally, I know the final week ends on the 22nd of December. So usually that's about 2 weeks more or less to get all the reports in. We don't really penalize you or anything like that if you hand it in afterwards. But we do like to get it back to the scorers presidents before the season starts off again in January. So latest by the first week of January, please can get that back in. Identify the top pipeline scorers based on their scoring experience. So you will be asked to rank the scorers. So there's 16 scorers that's going to be at the weeks normally. Some weeks differ in numbers. So you're going to be asked to rank them from number 1 to number 16 or whatever it is. And also collect tournament feedback reports from the scorers. So this tournament feedback report is going to be on you. So the feedback is going to be based on the assessor. And the feedback is going to look more or less like this. I'm just going to show you. So this is it's the umpires, it's a ICC umpires match referee feedback. So this is going to be more or less what your feedback report is going to look like. So this form, you will need to give it to each of the scorers that score in the week. They will fill it out on you, and you send it back to me, just so that we can also keep track of how you perform during the week. Any questions so far, or anything that's unclear?
Sorry, Kishan, are we going to get that? Is it that exact document, or is it going to be something else that's drawn up by CSA?
No, it's this is just like that's going to be the template. So it's not gonna be exactly like that. Let me just show you again. But it's gonna encompass all of these factors, like the teamwork, the management, the general, not necessarily the preparation, but it's going to be focusing on the teamwork, the management, and general.
Okay, so you will be sending us a final document to print.
Send that. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
So sorry, Kishan. So we're giving them this on arrival, then they will submit to us at the end of the tournament.
I would suggest that you give it to them on the arrival, so when you arrive, and then you get it back normally on the second last day. So the second last day before they leave. So normally the weeks are 5 days. So I would suggest you get it back at the end of day 4. The reason being because day 5 it's always chaos with scorers having to travel back. So I would suggest get it back on that day 4, so the day before they leave, just because I do know how it works with how they travel and stuff like that.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, and then the most important document, I think, and this is something that we can work together through. So this is the assessment form that we submit for the scorers. It hasn't changed too much from the previous years. So there's only very small changes that have taken place. So number one, the biggest change is that there is a change in the grading for the worksheets and the summary sheets. So it's now a 1 to 10 scale as opposed to a 1 to 5 scale. The reason being, as we discussed when we are having the other catch-up meetings with the presidents, is just because when you get the summary sheets, everything might be right. However, there's maybe 1 or 2 things which are not filled in correctly or incorrect. And that person, it's going to be harsh to give them a 4 out of 5. And if a 5 out of 5 is not really an accurate description of their performance. So we change that to a 1 to a 10. So the grading is going to be 1 to a 10 for particularly those 2, which is a worksheet and summary sheet accurate, complete, and completely filled in. So that's a 1 to 10. And then you'll see there's other factors also included. For example, the result correctly stated and points correctly stated. So those are 2 areas, because nowadays the weeks are based on points and logs and so on and so forth. So there are points awarded for that. So we do have that incorporated now, where there will be points. If the points are not correctly stated, then there will be also marked on that. And then also there will also be a player of the match. Well, we will be assessing that, the player of the match. So each match day, there will be a player of the match, or a person is going to be called the player of the match. I'm not sure what the actual wording is going to be. So the scorers need to make sure that they do record that, just because that's also something that they need to also keep on record moving forward, because they normally get recognized when they go back to their unions. You'll see there's another point here, it's just incorrectly stated, the knowledge of playing conditions. So that's also another area that I included as well, the knowledge of playing conditions. The reason being that I've included it is just because, based on what I have seen, is that scorers just score, but they don't understand the playing conditions. So when playing conditions change, they do not keep up to date with that, and they are found wanting during the game. So that's also another area that I added. So basically, this is what it looks like. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see all the areas. Is there anything there that you feel I need to change, or that we need to change the grading on? You don't have to answer now. What I will do is I will share it on the group, and you can have a look at it. Maybe we can finalize it by Friday. Friday, I think we'll give a final draft of the document, and we'll share that with everyone. So I'll share this back with you, and then you just you just give me your feedback on it. The way that we fill out the document is pretty easy. You will just put in the dates of the tournament, what the tournament was. The association is where the scorer comes from. So you might need to just confirm this with the scorer's manager. Sometimes there might be a scorer that is scoring for Eastern Province, but they're actually from the host union. So just confirm that that is correct. Then it's going to be your name and the scorer's name. The grading, you'll see first things first, it's going to be match format at the top. And this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, or match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just select the format first from the drop-down menu. You click on that and you'll select what the format is. And then you go along and then you go and just complete it. It's all electronic. So scorers equipment, if they had all the equipment. Just with regards to the equipment, so you'll see that I normally advise scorers to, I mark scorers down on for example, a watch. If they do not have like a watch, like a digital clock or an analog watch, I do mark them down. The reason being because you cannot rely on your phone as a sort of a timekeeping device. That doesn't work with me. They need to have a watch or a time or something like that, and not rely on their phone. So you just click on that. You mark them 1, whatever it is. Arrive in a game at games on time. So that is also dependent on how they structure their travel. But then you normally just mark them. Also drop down. Then you'll see concentration and watch of the game. You click on that, it'll also be a 1 to 5 scale. And you just do this for everything else. And then when you get to the summary sheet completely filled in, it's also a 1 to 10 scale. And you'll see as you fill this in each day, I would advise that you fill it in after each day or whenever you evaluate the scores, just to keep track. If you want to keep it in a notepad and fill it in afterwards, that's totally up to you. I'm not gonna give you any instructions of how to assess. You have to sort of find a way that works for you. But when you fill that in, you'll see that this summary then updates and then it gives a percentage. So why we also ask you to rank your scores is just because a percentage it can be misleading sometimes. So, for example, somebody might have a percentage, and I've seen it happen at the under-19 girls previously, is that there were 5 scorers that got 99%, and there was 2 scorers that got 100%. So you can't really rank the scores according to that. So ask afterwards for you to rank the scorers. So even if 2 scorers got the same percentage, we'd want you to give your sort of opinion of who were the top scorers in that. There's also a space for you to put notes. So this is where you provide your own, in your own words, on the evaluation of the scorer, of what you saw during the week and areas they can work on or work on to improve moving forward. Any questions with the evaluation form or assessment form?
Yeah, Kishan.
Yeah.
Obviously, because now you're going to have one person doing online and just a worksheet. I mean, we'll still have to try and fill in what we can for them. Of like something like results correctly stated won't be, something that they can do if they're doing it online or something. So you'd have to ignore that for that day for that particular scorer.
So also with that with the CSA scoring system, they will have to fill in the result themselves. So it doesn't automatically calculate it for them, as from what I know, is that they would need to fill in the sort of the margin of victory, and as well as maybe select the winner of the match. So that sort of thing is like, so the results correctly stated, you can mark them on because they fill that in. However, the points correctly stated, it won't be on that online score.
Yeah, okay. So, but we fill in what we can based on what the scorer is doing on that day.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Is there a way then just to identify that this scorer was doing web or or manual or something, maybe another, because it says 50 overs is the format, but this particular scorer on day 1 was online, day 2 was linear.
Okay.
Is there maybe somewhere we can put that?
Okay,
maybe at the bottom, row 36, something.
Okay, maybe, or maybe I'll just add it over there and I'll just say online or manual. Scoring role would be online or manual, and you just select it from there.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll just make a note of that. And then what will also happen is that I'll just have a look at these activities or list of activities to be assessed, and I'll just make sure that there is a NA, because sometimes, for example, summary sheet completely filled in, that will have to be an NA because they don't have a summary sheet, for example. But you can mark them on their worksheet. So I'll put that on. I'll put that on this Excel form as well.
Hey, Kishan.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't done a week in a minute. Is it still? Don't you have a T20 day? Is it, so there should be 6 games, right? Or on the T20 day, we just assess them on overall performance for the day or individual games.
So this is something that you'll need to like sort of manage on the day. Usually, it should just be 5 days, because nowadays they have only 50 overs and they might have a T20. They usually don't have time cricket anymore because it's all log based. So they have logs and stuff like that for the weeks. So it normally should just be the 5 matches or 5 match days. There might be a scenario where they do have a extra day, and then what you just do is that you just copy the column and then just add another column next to it. But we can work on that together. If there's a scenario where you do have 6 match days or 6 matches, we can look at that as well. I'll just make a note of that for that. Or maybe I should just add 6 matches just in case. Okay, that's basically it regarding the documents or whatever. Regarding the actual assessing, so as you guys would know, is that okay? Yes, I mentioned that we are going to be scoring on that CSA app. This is where the difficulty comes in, and I sort of need your sort of feedback on it. Is that, do we go ahead and assess scorers on their ability or knowledge of scoring on the app? Labib, I think, yeah, you got disconnected there. So just a question that I posed to the group. For the national weeks, we're going to be, the scorers are going to be scoring on the app. So do we go about sort of assessing them on their ability to score on the app? And I think Labiba's gone again.
I think she dropped off again. I would be concerned with that purely because, at least from my side, I haven't even had a chance to use the app. And yeah, at Coastal KZN, we actually aren't using it at all yet.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't feel right for me to be assessing somebody else if I'm not even an expert on it myself. So, and I think there might still be a few glitches or something from what I've heard from some of the Western Province scorers. So I don't know if it's too soon to do that this year.
Yeah. Yes, you're right there, Rory. As far as I know, it's only a handful of unions that are using the app. I think it's only Western Province, Titans, Easterns, and I think Border just came on board recently.
Yes, at Border, yes, we just came aboard, but this past weekend, especially Premier League, we couldn't score any games. It was having a problem, only promotional. But I think now it's too early to say, but yes, our scorers need to know, because this is an app that is on the phone that we normally use phones, but to say we're strictly marking them on that, I think it's too soon. Let's allow everyone to have a feel of how it's done and give them time to acclimatize to it. Then we can say, okay, now we are marking down people who are not doing ABCD.
Okay, perfect. I think maybe the general consensus then is that we're not going to be assessing them on their app usage. However, we do require them to have things right on the app, because I know on the app you can edit the scorecard. So even if the app scores something incorrectly, it is then their duty to make sure that it is reflecting correctly on the app, on the summary sheet. Because on the app you can edit the summary sheet. So even if the app gives glitches and stuff like that, they will then need to correct it themselves.
Yes, they need to have the summary sheet. They need to have their summary sheet. They need to focus when they're doing their summary sheets, because their worksheet should be the same as their course scorer. So that's where we should all basically be focusing on. Yes, to check what they have in the app is what is there, but we won't be that much stricter on the app. But on the worksheet that they're doing, then we need to look at that. But they did the right things correctly.
Okay, perfect. Now, then I'll make a note of that, and I will inform the presidents accordingly. I just wanted to get your feel about it before. Yep.
Kishan, as much as it's a new thing and it's very glitchy, there's this general stuff that you do when you're using computer stuff that we probably could assess. You have your teams loaded on time, all that sort of jazz. It might not be towards like their final score, but I think maybe having a space where we can make notes and maybe have a rating, it could assist us when we start doing overall rankings. In terms of like it should be, if a person is both good at linear and figuring out the app and doing that right, I don't think we should penalize them. We should penalize them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it should count towards their score in terms of like, hey, like you were good on linear, and when you needed you were good on the app. That's a bonus. That's a mark of a better scorer. Or we're just purely looking at linear scoring.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I do agree with you. We do need to like sort of give an assessment of the whole scorer, as so linear and online. I'm not sure if we can really judge them on getting the teams in on time, because from what I hear is that they still do not allow scorers to add players on the device or add players for themselves. It has to be done through the admin side, and that is something they don't have access to. But yes, I do like what you're saying about sort of ranking the scores according to the whole ability of the scorer of manual and online. So yeah, maybe we can do something like that.
Yeah, like I get the minutia. I was making an example, but like calling, when the other guy's calling, are you confirming on your sheets and on the app that everything's still on point? You know what I mean? There's still stuff you can find. But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, cool. I think that's some good feedback. I think with regards to the app, I'll put all of the stuff down in sort of one message or to the presidents, just so that they can inform their scorers accordingly. With regards to the scores,
before you move on.
Yep.
Sorry, Kishan. I was added on to that to our weeks group at the moment, and guys have been told they need to start practicing. Download the app, start practicing.
Yes.
So there is an expectation that you can. No one can actually rock up to a week and be like, I don't know this app.
Oh no, that's not possible. Like everybody needs to know how to score on the app. So during the week,
because there's an expectation, we can assess.
So just so you guys are aware, everybody needs to score on the app and manual during the week. So it's not a thing of scorers come to the week and say, I can only do manual. No, they need to do manual and online during the week. So please also just work hand in hand with your scorers manager, and they have been informed of this, is that they need to allocate scorers according to roles. So maybe first day it's manual, second day linear, third day manual, fourth day linear, whatever it is. But they do need to have a sort of a 50-50 split on the app and manual. I know it's not going to be possible with five match days, but they do need to have at least 2 days on the app then, if it's going to be 5 days. So just try and get that done as well. I'm just going to make another note on that. Yeah, and online scoring. You must. Okay. Okay, and then also with regards to the scorers, the managers' jobs. So it's the managers' jobs now to make sure that the logs are sent out to the selectors and so on. It's the manager's job to make sure that DLS is sent out for the games. It's the manager's job to get the stats daily to the selectors and to the tournament, the team managers. So that is all the scorers' jobs. They need to be doing that. If they are not able to do that or they failing to do so, please, I would suggest that you do try and help them. However, it is not your primary role. That shouldn't be your primary role, but maybe you can assist them if they are struggling. Also, with regards to the transporting of scorers, that is something the scorers manager needs to handle themselves, making sure that the scorers do get to their grounds on time. There might be a scenario, and depending on how fixtures go, is that there might be a scenario where you may need or may be asked to take scorers to a certain ground just because they don't have enough vehicles, especially if the grounds are far away from each other. In that regard, try and work hand in hand with the scorers manager to get the scorers to the ground. However, like I'll mention again, that is not your primary role. Your primary role is to assist the scorers, and everything else is just secondary to that. Okay. Is there any questions from your guys' side or anything that you want to know before you head off to your weeks? Did everybody get the rooming lists or whatever for the weeks? You guys all got your own room, so you guys are not sharing. But just so you guys are aware of who's going to be in which room, I'm sure the managers might share that with you on your groups, on your WhatsApp group, if they haven't done that already.
Yes, from my side, it has been shared, the rooming information, man, who's staying with who, especially for the scorers, and they've even told us where we're going to be staying in our week in Pretoria.
Okay, no, that's perfect, then that's fine. Okay, I think that's it from my side. If there's anything else, no other questions, no other queries from you guys?
For now, on my side, I'm still covered, but if I have anything, I will just pop it here in the group and maybe ask, because maybe what I ask might be helping somebody else. So, but for now, I'm still. Oh, another thing, Kishan, I was looking, as you were talking about the managers sharing some information there, they did share that the cars, that the tournament is ending on the 14th.
Okay.
Let's say the game ends at 5, but you were supposed to have submitted the car on the same day at 5 o'clock. Then what are we doing in that instance?
I think for the assessors, it's your travel hasn't been confirmed yet. I'm going to get all your travel details this week. So normally, for example, like Cornele, Labiba, and Rory, you guys are going to be taking flights. So what I normally do is that I send you guys the sort of the flight times, and you just tell me which flight time suits you to go and to come back. And then you can let me know. With the accommodations and that kind of stuff. Normally, so last year there was a bit of confusion as to when the checkout times were. However, for this year, it will be the checkout times will be the day after the tournament. It's not going to be the day off. So if your tournament ends on the 14th, you will check out on the 15th. So that has been confirmed, yeah.
Okay, no problem, Kishan. I'm covered. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I'm not sure if everybody is aware of what the rates are for the scorer, for the assessors.
No.
Let me just try and get that quickly for you. Where is that? Okay, I'll just share it on the group. I can't find it right now. I don't think there's been any change in the amounts. But I'll share all of that information on the group just now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kish.
Okay, perfect. If there's anything else,
a final suggestion, Kishan. Sorry if I may. So with the app, we have used the app like I think for 3 years now. At the Cups week, what we normally do is every night we try to talk with the coaches and like give the playing 11 plus 12 men if possible. So then we send it through so they can upload the players. So in the morning we don't have a struggle with to add players when you get to the field, and on tournaments you don't always know the distance of the field. So just to like be prepared for that in the morning as well.
Yep, I think also that's an important thing to note. Also for example, like Rory, who's going to be going to USA Week. The thing is that for the USA Weeks, so from what I've been told, all of the players will be loaded because every team needs to submit a team return form. So those should be loaded beforehand. However, you might have occasions, for example, like at USA, where they will bring in a player 2 days into the tournament. So maybe that's where you get to hear about that at the managers' meetings. So maybe try and attend those meetings just so you can also get that information as well. It's just so that they are aware. So you can be aware of if there's going to be player additions, and then we can inform whoever the support is on the app. I'm not sure who the support is. I'll try and get that information from Johan van der Merwe, and then I'll let you guys know who's going to be the support person for your weeks.
Okay, no, thanks, and hopefully they will catch the names and everything correctly. We find out at times the parents will come to the scorers that you've incorrectly put the name of my son there. It's supposed to be so and so, whereas you are the scorer, not putting anything there. Let's hope that will be rectified and it can be picked up by this managers of the teams before the game starts.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. I think that's also one of the things that you can rate the scorers on is dealing with parents complaining about the spelling of their names, of their kids' names. I actually just found the rates now for the weeks. So for the weeks, the payment for the assessors is 6,000. That is the payment for the assessors, and then there's also a 185 meal allowance. So for example, 6 days, the meal allowance works out to be 1,110 rand, plus the 6,000 for the assessor rate, and so it works out to be 7,110 rand. So please expect that rates. If you do get any different rates at your week, please just let me know. Then we can address it there. But there shouldn't be any problems. Okay, I think that's it from my side. Thank you all for attending, and thank you for your time. If there's anything else, I'll just update the group, and you guys can also do the same. If there's any question that comes to mind, you can just let me know in the group, and then hopefully I'll get you an answer as soon as possible. Alrighty.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kishan. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Everybody.